Alright, hello everyone, welcome to another video. This one is from rather popular request from some commenters, as well as some messages on Discord and even some messages here in game. Many guys have been asking me about what are my bindings, what is my controller setup, all that. Well, there goes the first thing. I play on controller on PC, so there's that. Alright, so if we look at my bindings, they are not too traditional. The way that they work is so that I have my controller split up. On the left side, I can essentially control the flight dynamics of the plane. So I have pitch on the left stick, and roll on the left stick, as well as afterburner, air brakes, and wing sweep. And on top of that, I also have yaw, setting called yaw on my right joystick, but in actuality, this doesn't control yaw. This controls the roll of my plane when I decide to input it. Then for like missiles, guns, and all that, I have the right side of my controller, the trigger to fire guns, the bumper to fire the active weapon, A to flare, B to change weapons, and X for the special ability. Now comes some interesting things. So, well, I use padlock camera, as you guys, can tell from my videos, but I also use Freelook. And the way that I use Freelook, well, because I'm on controller, it's quite unique. Because generally speaking, a controller player can't actually use Freelook. Well, I'll show you how. As you can see right here, this is R3, which is just the right joystick press. That's what it means. You press down on the right joystick, and that enables the Freelook mode. But in order to actually use that, you need to have an emulator, such as the controller emulator over on Steam, such that your joystick, in my case, my right joystick, this one here, actually emulates mouse movement. So if I exit this tab, you can see my mouse and cursor moving around. This right here is me moving my right joystick around. And that's what I use in game, essentially. Then on top of that, you can also see that I use my right and left triggers as right and left click, although inversely. So my left trigger is for right click, and my right trigger is for left click. This is so that, when I'm in a match, I can actually, select something, drag some settings, look at something else, simply using my controller, so I don't have to switch over to the mouse or to the laptop. That, I find it to be really practical. It helps a lot. So, yeah, I like it. And that essentially makes it so, as you can see from my other videos as well, that my plane rolls and Freelooks at the same time. You'll see it's an interesting effect. I'll show everything separated. Let's lower this volume a bit because it's a bit loud. Oops, down to 13%. That's good. Alright, so over here, as you can see, I can roll my plane despite only using the standard mode of turning, and I can Freelook. It's not perfect, but it helps. Gives me more situational awareness of my surroundings, which is pretty good. But let's say I want to Freelook a lot. I start doing this, as you can tell, my plane is rolling as if I were doing this, you know. It doesn't really impact much, but I don't know, it's peculiar. I've seen some people complain about it, saying that, you know, kind of my whole controller setup is a bit of black magic, it's a bit weird, but, well, I like it. Perhaps you may too if you play on a similar setup, you know, as a controller to PC player. You know, for a fact that that's not everyone, and it's actually quite few people that use that setup. But the good thing of also using the Steam controller emulator side of things is that I can configure how, like, the sensitivity, the mappings. If I want to do something different altogether, I can do that. I can make action groups and all that. So we can do quite a lot of things with this. Of course, mine is just basic, just what works for me, you know. Originally, when I switched over to controller, I was like, dude, I can't Freelook, you know. So that was quite a bother, and I was looking for ways to make it work. Then I found out that if you have that binding held down, the Freelook mode binding, yeah, if I can find it here, this one. If you have it bound down and you're holding it, and you move your mouse around, then I'll get Freelook, and eventually I settled on this structure, you could say. So yeah, that's it. This is just a quick video talking about settings. That right there was just bindings. There are more settings, of course. So over here, going over these settings. Yeah, controller, normal direction, send returning mode, no missile aim assist because it's horrible. Cannon aim assist. I used to fly with Canon auto zoom on, but I got bored and I wanted to try something new. And I have found that it's actually better for my own aim to use it turned off after my squad mates lectured me about it quite a few times. Then haptic feedback doesn't change much on my controller since it doesn't have it, but c'est la vie. This is an interesting setting. It really only affects 3 planes, you know, planes that can shoot missiles. Those being, of course, the J-10, J-20, and the Rafale, which would be, you know, if you're turning the plane and trying to, you know, have your missile selected, have your Freelook missile selected. As you're given the intensity that you're pulling on a stick to turn your plane, the targeting circle of your missile will move as well. I honestly find that to be a bit nauseating, so I have that completely turned off. My camera settings is kind of standard, maximum field of view and good camera distance. Bindings, I already went over them. Graphics, my PC is decent enough that I can run this, you know, these high settings, vertical sync off, of course. Max FPS that I generally get in a match nowadays can vary. Sometimes I'm hitting like 120, but it's pretty good. Audio settings, nothing much to it. Advanced. Now here's some fun things. So, well, I'm Brazilian and I really favor the metric system, so my units are, of course, in the metric system, although it's not meters per second, but you get the idea. Kilometers an hour, meters for altitude, distance in kilometers. And I have all of these stats displayed in game. Altitude, turn rate, the maximum turn rate, given that speed and all that. Acceleration, game performance. Colors, I have it set to these for good contrast. Pink is, I think the closest color in pink in this game is crimson. The red canyons, essentially. And even still, it's very far off, so it's easy to see. very easy to see. It stands out very easily. HUD scale, HUD vertical scale, see these values, and yeah, there's a bunch to it. Oh, this one right here. It's a funny one. When I started playing this game, and with controller, I used to have this turned on so it would be easier for myself, for me to see what direction I'm planning to turn in, because it didn't have the ideal hand coordination yet, you could say, or a good one even. So I had this on, but over time, I just found it to be cluttery on the screen, and said, let's just turn it off. Padlock camera toggles. Ooh, this is a big one. So as a standard, I'm pretty sure that this setting is turned on, but what happens is if you're using padlock and the guy that the camera locks on goes behind terrain, and you didn't untoggle the padlock before that happens, oh boy, you're in for a rough day, because it's gonna be messed up. The padlock camera is just gonna stay there. There's nothing you can really do to bring it back. Even if I try to Freelook it back into place, it snaps back to the original padlock position. So it's horrible. I try not to use padlock camera that much, especially when aiming at someone in a head-on or whatever. So yeah, because of that and the other thing that I said, this has to be turned off, because otherwise it's very, very buggy. Axis settings. I used to have axis moving at a pretty high value. I think I had it at 15% at a time. But no, that doesn't work. Because if you throw it all the way, you can see what happens is that your inputs just slow down so dramatically, and your plane feels like the controls of it is on ice. So it's pretty bad. I used to like it, but after I became aware of it, how bad it is, I said, you know what, now turn that shit off. Dead zone 0%. My controller is pretty good, so I don't have to worry about that at all. Stick drift. Axis cursor look ahead. This is something that I see controller guys having either 0 or making their way to 15. Howdy, for instance, from my squad. Pretty sure he has it at 0. Quattro and I have it at 15 or close to it for his case. Not too sure. Either way, it depends on you. If you want a super good stability of your aim and no messing around with it too much when you're flying and when you're trying to get into a head-on, you can have it at 0. If you want to have a bit more awareness of when you're turning, you can have it at 15 or whatever value you decide. I personally like it at 15. I've been using it since, forever, basically. One thing to note, my exponents on my sticks are 180 for the left stick in the Y direction. For the X direction, the X axis, it's 1.8, 80, and the roll 1.6, 61, 660, something along those lines. These are values that you have to fine tune yourself. You have to be, you can't just copy them from somewhere else. You need to understand what they do. You need to get used to them, find what works best for you and your controller and your setup. But yeah, these are my settings essentially. Hope you enjoyed this more technical-ish video, you could say. Settings, bindings, all that, and especially my Freelook settings. And yeah, guess that's it. Thanks, guys. See you later.